This is the Grand Revalida, PTOT Schools in the Philippines, hosted by yours truly, AJ Adey. Hey guys, welcome back to the Grand Revalida. This is your host, AJ Adea, and I hope you were able to listen to the last two episodes so far, and if you haven't, they are available for your listening pleasure via YouTube and Spotify. Just kindly search the Grand Revalida AJ Adea, and it should appear within your search. Also, just a short announcement for my occupational therapists out there and OT students, please stay tuned for next week as I'll be releasing my OT episodes starting with the SAL and Cebu doctors. And along with this, I would like to thank the PTOT graduates that reached out to me and wanted to be part of the series. As I said before, I started with this podcast with the goal of empowering our course and profession here in the Philippines as to inform and help the current and future generation with what we can contribute to our country. Lastly, I would like to introduce you guys to our next guest. He's a graduate of University of Santo Tomas, or locally known as UST, and over the years, UST has been performing well as evident with the high passing rate and rankings of the school with the physical therapy board exam. And it's also the home of KinetIQ, a quiz among PT students from different schools that is happening yearly and with some serious bragging rights. I hope you can find this episode very informative as our guest was able to explain his educational experience in great detail. And for my listeners out there from the States, you might find this relatable as for moving here in the Philippines and the cultural differences you will encounter, as our next guest pointed out. Again guys, this is another episode of Grand Revalida, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.
Okay, so I want to say thank you to AJ for having me. We were co-interns back in the Summit, so Wellness Center in Ortigas. And that's when we became friends there. So to start, my name is Tozer Lim. I graduated from UST with a degree of Bachelor's of Science in Physical Therapy. So why physical therapy? I'll just get right into it. At the beginning, it changes. I think it changes for a lot of people, and I guess to relate with incoming high school graduates going into college. The reason why I wanted to go into physical therapy is that I knew going in that it's a good pre-med course for people who are going into medicine, because that's what I wanted to do. Is I want to become a doctor. And if you interview enough people, you're gonna bump into people who took physical therapy or occupational therapy, what have you, as a pre-med course for a doctor. Why is that? Because it gives you such a strong background on so many medically related subjects. Not just indirectly related. I'm talking these are the classes that med students take. So anatomy, physiology, neuroanatomy. I don't think they take kinesiology. They take clinical education, clinical training, medical ethics, so many of these stuff that you undertake in med school. So it's kind of like a second run through, so to speak, for a lot of those subjects in first year and second year medicine. And so that's why I took it. But my YPT changed towards internship and towards fourth year when I was becoming exposed to real people with real disabilities and real problems with their bodies. You realize that helping these people get back to their normal old lives is so important and so powerful. And you get to a point that you start questioning, do I still even want to go to medicine when what I'm doing now is already so amazing? So you'll see that your YPT, as relevant as it is in the beginning, may or may not change as you go. I know for some people it's stuck through as just pre-med is good, but for me, I fell in love with the profession so much and helping people with their bodies and helping the people get to know their bodies so much that now I'm in the point in my life where I'm debating whether or not I'll continue physical therapy or medicine. So that's I'm in the fork in the road right now, but it's a good fork in the road because it's a place to grow. So selection of schools and why that school. I went to University of Santo Tomas. I grew up in Connecticut. It's a little state in northeastern United States. I came back to the Philippines really because I just wanted to change in pace, and I went to UST because it was my dad's school and, family heritage type of thing. Yeah. I wanted to go to that school and heard a lot of good things about that school. So this question is it's not really too affecting with me because it was, besides Ateneo, it was the only physical therapy school I applied to. No other school, but that was it. And so I applied to there because people said it was good. I followed their advice. I went with it, went through it, and it paid off. So UST has I think, a unique learning
Wait,
environment in that
I have a question though.
I realized, yeah,
I mean, being born there and stuff, growing up, did you like have any second thoughts of going here to study?
um,
Like, was it a tough
well,
decision?
it wasn't. I guess it was a tough decision leaving my friends in high school, but then, like, looking back at it now, high school friends is just like, I mean, I'm still best
Same,
friends with some
same.
of those guys today, but
Yeah,
it's definitely like looking back at it now, it wasn't really too big of a sacrifice. And yeah, it's definitely changing things. You know, I had 4 seasons back then. You know, American settings, back going to like Manila, the heat.
yeah,
You know, the intensity of Manila. It's definitely a lot. It's definitely a big change. And in terms of culture, absolutely. And what I was going to get to, I'll just get into now, is the tying into the school and learning environment, is the academic culture. From, as an American who is like very relaxed, a lot of student freedom, like we say whatever we want.
yeah,
Going to the Philippines, the rigor and the strictness of the institution there was such a shock to me, because if you don't know how to abide by their rules,
you're out.
you're fighting a game, you know.
Yeah,
Because like if you don't like the way they do it, they're gonna tell you, if you don't like it, then just leave. But you don't want to leave because you like what you're doing, you like your school, you like what you're learning, you like the growth. So yeah, in terms of school and learning environment, I don't think this is just for UST. I think this is for a lot of schools there, like LaSalle, UST, PLM. A lot of physical therapy schools there, like which are like some of the best physical therapy schools there, are super strict, super rigorous, and they teach you how to just suck it up and get on with it, you know. And that's not, like, people are gonna say like, "Oh, that's a bad thing," but really, it kind of toughens you up. It teaches you how to see adversity, look at it in the face, and then just take it head on.
yeah. I mean,
There's no way around.
either you just get used to it and learn with the pressure. It's actually
Exactly.
not a bad thing, but it pushes you to be better
Mhm.
and to like think on
Yeah,
your feet, stuff like that.
exactly. I mean, I was definitely soft, like going in, because like people would say like, "Oh, you'll have sleepless nights," and like, and you'll fail exams that you studied for weeks. And I was like, "What a joke! You know, that's not gonna happen." You know, and if it does happen, I'll just report whoever it is for being like a bad teacher or something like that. But that's so wrong, because they're excellent instructors, they're excellent professors. It just so happens the exam was so tough, and you can't, like, it's up to you to change and to overcome your adversity, because if you don't change, you're it's gonna beat you. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, definitely. Like going in, I was soft, and going out, I was definitely like mentally a lot tougher. You know, I could take things on more easily and more readily.
I guess we could talk about the facilities. I mean, the classrooms, what they offer and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that.
Oh yeah, the UST has some really good, because for my class, it was like transitioning from the main building, which is where we had like most of our classes, to this like a research facility on the corner of the campus, where that's where we keep our cadavers, because we do human dissection.
Wow.
We do a lot of what do you call it? Motion tracking technology for
And you guys have
kinesiology,
that?
and it detects pressure and like the angle of the joints, like using like these electrode
Wow.
pads that like send signals. So that was pretty cool. So that really like enhanced the learning for kinesiology and anatomy. In terms of classes like orthoses and prosthesis, they do have those available. So we were able to inspect and like really learn like the different parts, and how certain aspects of certain parts of the devices are fitting for other people in certain cases, and whatnot. And so the facilities are definitely very good. Of course, the classrooms are good. It's air conditioned. I feel like most schools are air conditioned these days, because if it wasn't, and the pollution in Manila, was a good luck. Definitely, definitely a good experience when it comes to facilities. Not a lot of problems. I mean, of course, it's like some places that, because me personally, I wish some places were cleaner. Like, you know,
Yeah.
but other than that, it was good. You know, I mean, 5 years, I'm still here, and I don't have any like diseases like from it. I'm fine.
It's not as bad as
We're
what
good to
they
see.
say it is, right?
Not as bad as why.
As what they portray of it in the media or what they have reported.
No, it's really not. It's really not because like you have to remember that it's a medical institution. Like we share the building with the med school, so it kind of has to be clean.
Yeah.
And if it's not, then feel free to tell to the guard and the custodian, say this is dirty, like clean it. That's fine. That's fair. So extracurricular activities for as a physical therapy student, good luck with extracurricular activities. Maybe in your first year and your second year, you'll do fine. But that was in my batch because now I know it's a 4-year thing and they have like second years and doing anatomy already.
Oh.
So that's pretty wild. So it kind of caught up to the Western standard, I guess. And it's definitely more challenging that way because our unit load is crazy. Like we'd go, I don't know, like with other schools, but I think it's roughly around like 20 plus 24 units per like semester.
Yeah.
Sometimes it go up to like almost 30. I think the most I had was like 29, 28. And and just to put it into like comparison, the unit hours in Western schools here in America, like 14 units is already a lot for people.
Yeah.
So we're taking up like
twice,
pretty much almost double of what other people take for just a single major. So it's quite a lot. So extracurricular activities, I was in some extracurricular activities, but I was never like the leader of those clubs or of those organizations because, to be honest, I didn't have
the time.
I had to bring on physical therapy school, but like I needed time to prepare for those things, as you say, and to couple those with orgs, it's tough, man. Yeah. So overall campus experience, physical therapy in UST is cool because like there's a place you can jog and like you can go around and to breathe the fresh air. And it's a beautiful campus. The main building is it's definitely nice for Instagram. I forgot what you called it. You have like this massive like soccer field. It's a nice campus. We have Lovers Lane. It's pretty nice. Like if you're feeling sad, you feel an exam, go for a walk. Walk it off and then do better. That's just how it is. And then school. I think we covered that. Classrooms and professors. Again, classrooms are good. Classrooms are clean. If the AC is too cold, turn it down. We can control that stuff. It's good. The professors in UST, really, really good professors. They're kind of like, I felt like I was in Hogwarts, sort of, or like in Harry Potter. Like every professor was unique, but every professor had their own like specialty and had their own knack, their niche in physical therapy. Where if you were curious about something, like they're the go-to to ask. So we had a professor who had a master's in ergonomics. So when it came to ergonomics, we asked her about ergonomics. We had a professor who was great at lymphatic drainage and has done lymphatic drainage for several status post radical mastectomy patients who had their lymph nodes removed. So they have edema all over their arm. And then how do you do manual therapy to alleviate that? We had sports therapists, the list goes on and on. So the diversity in professors really makes it really nice mix. So if there's ever a hole in your knowledge holistically, you can just approach them. And for the most part, they're very accommodating. They'll answer your questions. You can email them. But what's nice about them is that like all like high level universities in the Philippines, like LaSalle and UST, PLM, all of these guys are trained in research. Mm-hmm. So a lot of what they do and what they teach is based off of evidence-based practice. Of course, there's curriculum stuff like in textbooks like Gaita and Ganong. They have to teach that stuff because that's in the boards. Yeah. But when it comes to applying what you learn in the real world, it's very evidence-based. So that's good. And you'll see that when it comes to thesis. They'll see like with the way they filter out like all the nonsense you're putting in your thesis and like if it's right or if it's wrong. Yeah. They're good at that. They'll see like how to strengthen it, how to make it better, how to make it more profound, more meaningful. So these guys definitely help prepare you for internship because when they taught the lectures, they didn't teach it so you pass the exam. They teach it so that when you get a patient with that condition, you'll be able to handle it. You know, like you can't, like no one goes through internship without handling a stroke patient. So let's talk about stroke patients. So, you know, if you're in ClinEd, they're gonna, or like you starting in neuroanatomy, you're learning about the anatomy of the brain. So you're seeing where it's wrong, what's wrong with it, and then how it manifests. You see that in clinical education, and then how you treat those manifestations. You see that in therapeutic exercises. So it's all linked together. The curriculum is really good. It helped prepare you past the exams, of course. I mean, there's a few that, more than a few that you're probably not going to do too well on along the way, but you definitely won't fail you when it comes to treating your patients if you paid attention in class. That's where you can't fail, is your patient. You can fail your exams and you'll take another one and bounce your grade up, but once you fail with the patient, the trust is broken, the rehab is delayed, you can't fail with your patients. And that, I think, is where the best part was when it comes to my education in UST, is that I was really prepared going in for internship.
Wait, hold on. Let me pause you on that.
Sure.
During your internship, you think the selection of centers that you guys are affiliated in, well, is good, bad, and as well as anything that you really like about internship?
So affiliated centers were, see, the thing is, it's for a group in my batch, we get a list of affiliated centers, and we talk amongst ourselves who gets what. And I was the liaison officer for my group, so I was the leader. So I tried to make it as diverse as possible. So if somebody's getting a specialized center in kidney, I wanted to have somebody else get a specialized center in orthopedics. I wanted everyone to get a specialized center. So in a way, it's up to you to fight for those centers that you get, like the centers that your group is given. It's up to you to tell your LO, hey, I want this, I want that. And so if you got the crappy centers, it's either because you just, you know, out of luck when it came to the centers you got, or you just didn't push for it, you know, and that's on you. So you have to push for those centers that you want. And if you're in UST, I don't know how other schools do it. That only applies to UST people. And as of the centers themselves, I went to some really, really good centers. One of my favorite ones is where I met AJ's at Summit.
Oh, for real?
Summit was incredible. Like it was crazy good at Summit. Like they teach you stuff. Like they teach you like lateral drills, how to do myofascial release, how to do stretching properly, how to stabilize without breaking your back.
Yeah.
You know, it's good. And sometimes the patients would even ask you to work out with them. So like not just your brain, your body got to work out too. You know. Yeah, because there's a rule there. Like if your patient tells you to demonstrate or tells you to do the exercises with them, you have to do it.
You gotta do it. Yeah.
And just get on with it, and then there you really prove your mettle. Is like, can you walk the talk, so to speak? You know,
Yeah.
because you can't be assigning and creating treatment plans that you can't do. And I think that for my centers, that was good. Is that it was a lot of like you have to prove that you know what you're talking about by being able to do the exercises yourself, at least for the sports patients. Of course, like, you know, you can't do exercises for somebody doing stroke rehab who's never had a stroke. Yeah, centers are good. There was a nice mix. I didn't have any specialty centers like cardiac or kidney. I wish I did, or lung. But what was the good part is if you have a lot of hospital centers, you're going to see patients who have those conditions anyway. Like I was in the hospital center, and I had a patient with chronic bronchitis. You know, I was in a hospital center and had a kid with cerebral palsy, but I was never in a cerebral palsy institute. So it's really just like crossing your fingers and praying to God that you get those nice juicy cases where you can learn from a lot.
Yeah.
But you have to keep in mind that if you get those cases, you better be prepared to take them on. You know,
Sure.
It's up to you as an intern to know that, like, hey, I didn't do my best with the patient today. I have to like review, study it up. So when I see them again, I'm ready. I'm prepared. Like admit it, I'm not a perfect intern, but I knew when I wasn't good enough. I went back to my textbooks. I went back to my notes, and I went back and I consulted with my teachers and my friends. How do I treat this person better? You know, and that's your responsibility as a clinician. What else about
I mean,
things that I love?
sure. Go ahead.
Yeah. The thing that I love about the internship is you definitely the mix of cases, the exposure. Like you can't trade that. Making connections with the with staff, befriending them because these are the people you're going to be working with. So
Yeah.
that's a big warning for people. If you're an intern, don't be a jerk. Don't act out of line. If they have rules, it's there for a reason. Follow it. And you're not a martyr. You're not some freedom fighter. Just it's only a year. Get on with it. Do it. Follow their rules. If you get punished,
Do the time.
it's how it is.
Yeah.
Just think of it as a more opportunities to learn those makeup duties. Because I had like 14 days by the end of internship, and that's not even a lot compared to other people. I just took it as I'm done with internship. I have these 14 days of makeup. This is the time for me to prove that I really did good. And those 14 days of makeup duties were some of my best days as an intern, when I really gave the patients my best, the best of me. And things that I didn't like about internship is that undeniably there is going to be some times when you get unfair treatment by some people who are just unfair. I'm not going to lie about that. We're not going to sugarcoat it. But the thing is, the reality of it is you can't do much to fight it. You can't, you're just an intern. You can't change how they run things. Have they been doing it for years? So think of it as an exercise of like toughness. Like how much of this nonsense can you put up with, and whether or not you're going to let it break you. So just think of it that way. Like, you can't let it. You can't be like punching the air on your way home, saying, "Oh man, it's so unfair." You can't do that. No, you just have to let it make it be tougher and make you better coming out of it. Because that was my mistake as an intern. I was always so frustrated with like the unfair treatment sometimes, and it's just not. It wasn't healthy for me. Like it affected how I performed in the clinics. Because if you're a bad tip, while you're in the clinic, it's not good for you, your co-interns, or the patients. So that's definitely a big lesson learned for me. Like halfway through internship, I had to get over that, man. And yeah. So what else? Internship. So application of learnings and knowledge. I think I talked about that already, right?
I mean, just
Like,
the overall, like, you think. I mean, I think you answered that. It's just basically, did the university prep you enough onto like taking the boards and up to what you are now?
Yeah. So my so application of learnings and knowledge. So let's do learnings first. I'll take that as clinical learnings and experiences. Definitely, whatever you face in physical therapy school, whether it's a practical exam or a real life patient, especially if it's a real life patient, always approach it in context. Don't just look at the patient. Okay, this patient has like discrepancy, scoliosis, has concavity on the right side, like left shoulder depressed, and then you get there, and then that's all you saw. That's all you saw because you didn't think about it in context. Like what muscles are tightening this, what muscles are tightening that, what can I stretch, what can I strengthen. So think of everything holistically and in context. And if you prepare yourself well for the first 4 years of, I think with a new curriculum in my school, for the first 3 years of your schooling, then you should be ready to be able to approach these things in context. Always approach things in context. In terms of knowledge, yeah. I was one of those kids who was always after the technical stuff, the practical things. In terms of knowledge, like memorizing this and that, like memorizing, the types of stroke and like the different manifestations. There's some people who knew it like the back of their hands. To be honest, for me, like I don't like now. Like I'm familiar, of course I can like treat it, but so like recite it in my head is hard. But that's what you need to learn how to do for the board exam.
Yeah.
So
the patience.
I was prepared, right. I was definitely prepared for the board exam because I'm a PTRP, so I passed it. But before the board exam, studying for it, leading up to it, I realized like I should have like put in more brain power in the first 4 years.
Wait, can I just stop you? I just wanna share that I've seen Tozer using coffee beans as your snacks.
Yeah. Yeah, that was
It's like, man, what are you doing?
so for the first 4 years of college, that was like increasing my coffee, like the amount of coffee I drink, especially the internship year. Like I ended up getting GERD because of the amount of coffee I drank. And I came to my doctor and said, "Yeah, you have GERD. You're drinking too much coffee, man." He said, and I thought to myself, I gotta stop drinking. So I stopped drinking coffee for a bit, and then leading up to the board exam, I was just pulling like nights where I get like 2-3 hours of sleep just studying, and I needed caffeine, so I ate the coffee beans. But yeah, so another note for interns is definitely take care of your bodies. This isn't one of the questions is that here's the thing. Here's the bottom line, like directed towards you as an individual in physical therapy is you can't take care of other people when you can't take care of yourself.
Yeah.
So you got to be doing those exercises. Like I made it a rule that if I'm like assigning a new exercise for a patient, then I do two things. One is I research it. You have to find evidence-based training. If it's just coming off the back of your head, it's not valid. Number two is you got to be able to do it yourself. You got to be able to execute it, whether it's the actual exercise or an easier version of it. You have to be able to do it yourself. So that's a part of like, training yourself and treating yourself well. Because like I got GERD because I was irresponsible with the caffeine I was drinking, and like there's some people who are treating sports athletes who can't do the exercises, who are out of breath before the end of it. You got to be able. You're supposed to be an example of health, and you have to be able to uphold that in
Is that a shade to someone that we were co-intern with?
I can't remember anyone in particular, but you just have to. It's been a while, man. You just have to. You just definitely have to be. Actually, in Summit, we had to do jump squats onto these boxes, and hardly anybody could do them. But it was ironic because we were telling our patients
to do them
for exercises. So how could you tell your patient to do an exercise that you yourself can't do? How can you tell your patient to stretch when you yourself don't stretch?
Yeah.
Simple things like that, where you have to be genuine in your practice and have to be transparent. It really shows when you fail to do those exercises in front of the patient. So avoid that. Take care of yourself. Exercise, because that's what physical therapists do. We exercise. So why not exercise ourselves, right?
Exactly.
So application of learning knowledge. Yeah, I think that's good. So PTOT. What is PTOT in my own words?
Yeah, what is PT in your own words? Not the textbook, but in your own words.
Not the textbook. At the textbook is here's how it is. It's physical therapy for me is just the practice of teaching people how to get to know their bodies better. And in doing so, you're helping them improve their lives. And that's really vague for a reason, because physical therapy manages people from cerebral palsy to stroke to ACL tear to people just wanting to get better, trying to lose weight. So these people won't achieve any of their goals, your long-term goals. You'll learn more about that in PT school if you don't teach them how to get to know their bodies. You have to teach them how to get to know their bodies. How are you supposed to stretch their bicep when they think their bicep is the tricep? It can't be, just simple stuff like that. Because your patients aren't trained in physical therapy, so you definitely have to tell them how their body is and help them learn how their body is, and it should reflect in your home exercise programs and your therapeutic interventions. I think that's that. School pitch. Why? If you like a school that will toughen you up and help you put up with hard work and with excessive amounts of workload, it's definitely not a walk in the park, but you'll come out tougher and you'll be better for it. Why my school? That's why my school. Are there other ones? Other questions? Anything you want to ask me?
No, man. You got me speakless. You went through the questions quick. I mean, and not only quick, but you talk about it well. I mean, for anyone that's gonna watch it, they'll probably get a lot from it.
I hope so. Yeah, physical therapy school isn't a walk in the park, and it's for good reason, because you're dealing with people's lives, and you can even mess up in ways that can cause them to, be debilitated forever. One wrong move and an elderly patient can be fractured. One wrong move, and the person's like blood pressure can drop to like 70/40. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So be careful. You got to know your stuff if you're doing physical therapy school. It's not to scare you, it's to motivate you to prepare better. Yeah. That's how it is.
Do you have any social sites that you want people to follow? Any that pages that you are involved with? Twitter?
No, not involved enough. Definitely, in terms of I'll approach it in two ways. So, in terms of evidence based, there's a lot of free journals out there. So just feel free to search for them, but you need to learn how to appraise those journals. Because if you don't know how to appraise those journals, then
useless.
You might be pulling information from things that are useless. And you can use your hard drive, or do you want me to use mine? You can use mine. And that's my brother. And in terms of social, Instagram, there's a lot of pages out there with doctors, but be careful who you follow. I only follow people who put citations or resources at the end of their post, so it's evidence-based. So I think a few is some of them are doctors, so they don't really need to post like sources, because
that comes with it.
Essentially sources of knowledge. View is good. Dr. Jacob or James Harden is good. Evidence-based practice is good. Physio tutors, those guys are really good.
Yeah.
Like if anybody in PT school right now having trouble with physical therapy, PT3 special tests, they practically have a video for every group of physical therapy special tests. So those guys are pretty great. They have funky accents though, but they're pretty good. Yeah.
All right, man. That's about it. Okay. You got everything covered. I won't take much of your time. Probably gotta go to work or something. Just take care.
Yeah. We're in quarantine right now, man, in California. So it's yeah. Well, I'll take it. You guys take care of yourselves also.
Yeah, man. There. I'll catch up with you. Take care.
Yeah, see you. Take care.
Hey guys, thank you so much for listening up to this point. This ends our episode for today. I hope this podcast can further empower and uplift our course and profession here in the Philippines. Please share this and other upcoming episodes to anyone that is thinking of enrolling to a PTOT course someday, or for your fellow batchmates, fellow interns that can learn a thing or two from this. And also watch out for other schools that I'll be featuring. I have Cebu Doctors, PLM, URM, Riverside, Veles, and other schools that are making their name on the profession. So please stay tuned for that. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Stay safe and stay at home.